So basically we're gonna do our grilled pulpo. And this is, we take the pulpo, we pre-cook it ahead of time to get it nice and tender. And we go ahead and put that on the grill. That gets served with some confit potatoes and a little bit of an olive chimichurri. The important part though is getting that nice little char on there. And the olive chimichurri we have is a nice pimenton oil that we make. So that's really nice flavor for it. So that's always a great one. Next up, we're gonna do what is a classic dish in Spain called a fideos. Very similar to a paella, but this is fideos. So traditionally they make it with like vermicelli, like almost like an angel hair pasta. Because we're 100% gluten-free here, we go ahead and we make it with a gluten-free pasta. So this is kind of a more popular one on our menu at the moment, which is a chicken chorizo. So we get that kind of cooking in there nice. What we basically do is we get that working. We add our chickpeas to it. A little bit of cilantro and parsley in there. Okay. Nice little seasoning on there. Add a little bit more olive oil. The olive oil is key because it helps in the end. You'll see we go ahead and we make what's called a socarrat, and that's on the bottom of the actual paella where it gets nice and crispy. So whether you have a paella or a fideos, on the bottom you have this nice crispy layer of rice or pasta, and that's really a key part of the whole dish where like you mix it all in at the table with the aioli and you get all these different textures and flavors, and it just really makes the dish. So to this now we add our, we make a charred vegetable sofrito, onions, peppers, garlic, tomato product. We put some saffron in there. And this really is the key part of the flavor. It just keeps adding layers of flavor to it. We then go ahead and add this is our gluten-free pasta. Now at that point, whether or not you were making a paella or fideos, this is when you want to put it into the rice or the pasta. You get that incorporated. The key is you want to get a little bit of a toast on it as well, and then it also helps absorb all the different fats and oils that come out of the different, meats or fish that you have in the pan. This is a saffron stock that we make. So we make an infused chicken stock with saffron, and that's where you get a lot more depth of flavor as well. And then you go ahead and let this cook. And this cooks out on top of the stove for a few minutes, and then we finish it. But so back to our pulpo though, so you get that nice char on there. That's the key. That nice smokiness you get from the pimenton oil, it's a smoked paprika, is really a big flavor component on that. You get that nice char, and we go ahead and we put some of our confit potatoes on there. These potatoes we take and we slow cook them in olive oil and garlic. I'm gonna get a little bit of seasoning on there. A little salt. We also like to garnish this dish with a lemon aioli. Just a nice complement to the rest of it. Presentation, we go ahead and kind of get that on there nice, and then we finish it off. And like I said, this is our olive chimichurri. Lots of 3 different kinds of olives: a green olive, a black olive, some castelvetrano, a little bit of oil, garlic, and then the pimenton. That's kind of our finished pulpo. So that's the pulpo here at Toro Taverna in West Hartford. Once the liquid level is pretty much even, then what we do is we finish it in the oven and we put an egg on it, and then the egg gets served nice and with the yolk nice and runny, so a nice sunny side up egg. And then we put it on the top of the burner and we add a little more olive oil, and that's where we get that socarrat that's in the bottom, that nice crispiness. So I was about halfway through writing the menu for Toro Loco out in Farmington, our sister restaurant, and I realized at that point, we weren't going to be a Tex-Mex. We were going to be authentic Mexican, and so we weren't doing like flour burritos and those kind of things or enchiladas. We were doing true to what across the country in Mexico with many of these small little villages and towns what they actually eat. And I realized that at this point I had no flour in anything. So I was like, you know what? Wouldn't it be great if I can finish the menu and be gluten-free still? And managed to do that. And then once I kind of worked out the recipe for our churros, that was kind of that was it for us. I was like, you know what? If I can do churros like this, then we can do the whole menu gluten-free for sure. And that was cool because we use a combination of a yuca flour and a rice flour to make our churros. So for us, it's really great to just be able to tell the guests, listen, if you have celiac, if you have, just mild, agitation with gluten, like we are 100%. It's not even in the building, it's not a question, so it works out pretty well. So at this point on the Fideos is where we go ahead and we just crack the egg on top. We kind of put that in there. And we let that just go ahead and finish, a little extra salt on there, a little bit of olive oil. And now this bakes in the oven for a few minutes, and that kind of dries up the rest of the liquid, and then the egg kind of sets on top. We want a nice set white with a little bit of runny yolk to it. You'll see on this one here, that'll finish cooking up a little bit, and at this point, where we want to add our extra bit of olive oil to it. That's going to go ahead and just slowly crisp on the burner. You can hear it crackle, and then there's a little kitchen trick. We use the back of our spoon to kind of test the bottom. As soon as it starts to stick on the bottom, you're getting that nice layer of crust. Sometimes you're like, oh, might need a little extra oil because that also helps it crisp. But that's really the key. The whole thing is when we present it to the guests, we present it, we tell them what they've got, and then we go ahead and we ask them if they'd like us to stir it. So that way we can scrape the bottom and then stir it all in. So you get all those different flavors and combinations of your mouth. You got crispy, crunchy, savory, like that's just the key to the whole thing. Not so bad. And we always garnish it with just a little bit of extra garlic aioli on the top, and that helps with some more of the flavor. And there you go. That's our Fideos.